Well, Humane World for Animals, formerly called the Humane Society of the United States, has spent decades deploying to some of the world's most devastating crises, from hurricanes and earthquakes to floods and even wildfires, saving tens of thousands of animals. Here to discuss their mission and what you need to know, we have Miss Kitty Block. She is the President and CEO of the Humane Society. So, Kitty, thanks so much for joining me here this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. So how does Humane World for Animals help animals during disasters?
Humane World for Animals works around the world, helping all animals. And whether or not it's wildfires in Australia, koalas, kangaroos, flooding in India, cows, goats, working with people around the country in the U.S., helping them get their pets out of harm's way during a disaster, whether it's floods and we're actually pulling them from the water in rescue boats, setting up temporary shelters, whatever is needed, we are there in these situations.
That's awesome. I know I said Humane Society earlier. She's the president and CEO. I'm still getting used to the name change, but what kinds of situations do you see animals in whenever you deploy during a disaster?
Well, at a Humane World for Animals, we really learned and honed our disaster work, developed our team. Actually, it was during Katrina. Obviously, that was such a devastating time, and we're coming up on, the 20th anniversary. So in those last 20 years, we have been helping animals, wildlife, pets around the world. And so what we see time and time again, especially with people and their pets, they won't get out of harm's way. We saw this during Katrina. We see this all the time. People will not flee. People will not evacuate. They won't go to safe places if they can't take their dog, their cat, their family members. And so this is really about how we help set this up in a community, how we help people be prepared, and how we rescue and reunite people with their pets and provide the resources they need to get back on their feet and reunited with their animals.
That's amazing. Yeah, definitely an animal is for sure part of the family, and we want them to be safe as well. So hurricane season is coming up here in the next stage very shortly. So what logistics are involved on the ground to save animals during a hurricane or another disaster?
Well, what we do is we work with municipalities, we work with other officials, so we go in and we are cleared to do the work we need to do, and that could be setting up veterinary stations, working with emergency shelters, going door to door, rescuing animals in houses that either have collapsed or have flooded. So it really depends on what the situation needs. But the most important thing that people can do before a disaster hits is take those steps to be prepared.
Okay, yes, for sure. And then whenever, I know I talked about it a little bit earlier with severe weather possibilities happening in the coming months, you said people can just really prepare for it. That's what they can do. How can they prepare at home?
To prepare at home, have a plan. Have a plan where you know ahead of time where you're going to go when disaster hits. You know the last thing you want to do is be scrambling when it hits. So know the hotels that you can go to take your animals with you. Know that the human shelters that will be set up, they also take pets. Have a kit ready. Have a kit that has some extra cat or dog food, ID tags. You want to make sure your animals have an ID tag, because under the horrible situation that you do get separated, it'll just help the reuniting so much better. If your animal takes any medication, have some extra medication in there. Just have this kit ready and know if a disaster does happen and when it happens, you can be ready on the fly to go and focus on getting out with your entire family.
Yes, absolutely. We definitely, if that does happen and they do get separated, the reunion, just like you said, would be just so much more special. So how can people, or where can people go to find more information on Humane World for Animals?
Please go to humaneworld.org. Learn about all the work we're doing, not just in disasters, all of the work and where we're doing it, really around the world and probably in your community. And to learn about what you can do specifically in preparation for a disaster is go to humaneworld.org/prepare.
All right, Kitty, thank you so much for just all of these great tips. And it's definitely just so important. We want to make sure that our lives are good and that we are all safe. But again, it's just so important for our animals as well. So thank you so much.